Was this the Opster?
Yep, we're at hypocrisy 101.
What? This is nuts for Opie and Anthony. I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed this. I suspect I am, because even though Opie's videos now are getting tens of thousands of views, it seems like I was the only one commenting. It's weird. There are no comments, even though there's like 20,000 views on some of these videos. So I don't know how many people are watching it. It's a little tricky. But I watched Opie after the Jimmy Kimmel incident, and I said, I got to prepare for the show. I got to steal some profound political takes to use on Sunday. What's the Opster saying? I turned to him for all my, all my highbrow thinking that I do. When I ruminate, I listen to Opie. And I said, what's he saying about Jimmy Kimmel? And he told an interesting story about meeting Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't have a lot to say on the aspects that we discussed, but he weighed in on Jimmy Kimmel the man. Opie has a story about who Jimmy Kimmel is as a guy when he ran into him in Los Angeles. So this is Opie telling that story.
Back in the day at NEW, and then I was in LA with my agent, and Jimmy Kimmel's late night show, he had a whole backstage area where a lot of celebrities and people that were somebody would hang out while Jimmy Kimmel was taping his show. It became like a little party in the backstage area. There was a bartender. I remember there was a pool table and lounge chairs, and there were just famous people all over the fucking place, even though they weren't on the show. It just became the thing to do. So my agent at the time, who's no longer with us, Bob Eatman, I was in LA for some shit, and he's like, hey, you want to go check out the Jimmy Kimmel show? I go, fuck yeah, man. So we were in the back lounge, hanging out, having a good time. And the last words Jimmy Kimmel ever said to me, he saw me as he was going out to do his show. He pointed to me and he went, hey, what are you doing here? And kept walking. And that was the last time I ever talked to Jimmy Kimmel. He wasn't a fan of,
what a story.
of Opie or Anthony or Opie and Anthony. He's a Howard Stern guy.
Interesting. It's interesting for many levels, because it's a story where it's like, well, you may have misinterpreted that. Why would he be so angry that you were there? You were let into the building. I mean, it doesn't quite make sense. But it's an interesting story to me for a different reason, because I'm an Opie and Anthony fan, as you know. And I suspect there might be other Opie and Anthony fans listening to this that are thinking, God, that story sounds very familiar. Kimmel. Doesn't feel like it's Kimmel. Well, you might be right, because this is a story that I distinctly remembered Opie telling on the Opie and Anthony show years ago. Let's hear how it's changed over the years.
I had no opinion on Adam Carolla until I was out in L.A. and I went by his love lines with our agent, who just happens to be the agent of Adam Carolla. He goes, you want to stop by Love Lines? I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think that Love Lines is a pretty good show. I would love to check it out live. I have nothing better to do. I go there. I sit in another room. He's doing a show through a glass fucking booth. I'm sitting on a fucking couch. He's eyeing me the whole time like, what the fuck? Drew could care less. They go to break. Drew comes out and says, hey, nice to meet you. Adam Carolla looks at me in the eyes and goes, what are you doing here? And walks out and has a smoke. That's where this comes from, you fucking asshole. Ooh. I'm so sick of radio guys lying.
Yeah, me too, Ope. Me too.
An asshole.
So this is wild. I couldn't believe what I was hearing when I heard him tell that Jimmy Kimmel story, because I think a lot of Opie and Anthony fans remember that Carolla story because it's come up in later years. Because Anthony Cumia did Adam Carolla's show, and Carolla goes, hey, let me ask you about your old partner, Opie. Because I heard him go on this rant where he's like, I was rude to him in Los Angeles. I was at the Loveline studio. He goes, I heard him tell the story. He goes, all I could think of was maybe I said, hey, what are you doing here? Because I know you guys from New York. Like, it was a non-incident in Carolla's mind. There was no venom. And I remember Anthony saying, like, that's how he is. Anthony's a wife that's been through this many times. That's how he is. We don't discuss. Don't say it too loudly. I'm sorry. He was cranky. He's not usually like this. You don't know how he is when it's just me and him. You know. Look, I'm sorry about that, but it's just what Anthony's had to deal with for so many years. So I remembered that Carolla story vividly. When he tells the same story about Kimmel, you're like, oh, this guy might be like schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What are the odds? And okay, you know what? I'm discounting something. Maybe both hosts of the Man Show that have been tied together for decades. Literally, Craig brought up Corolla when we were talking about Jimmy Kimmel earlier. Like, these two men are linked together forever. Maybe both of those guys had the exact same interaction on their own sets of their own shows, totally separately. Maybe they had the exact same interaction with Opie. Wasn't that nuts when I sent you those clips, Casey?
Well, I mean, now I didn't know Opie before.
I know you don't know the Opie and Anthony lore, but just hearing
Right.
both stories, like the idea that those would both happen to someone.
Yeah, it's I mean, he will use whatever story he can, right? Like, I know this guy. It just sounds like he wants to be like the cool guy in the room because I know Jimmy Kimmel, and then now who else will I know? Like, who else does this agent take me around to?
It's like if we were talking basketball, and you brought up the name Larry Bird, and I was like, oh, you know what? I have an interesting Larry Bird story. I was walking down the street one day, and I was like, oh my God, is that Larry Bird? And he gave me a high five, and he said, Mikey, my man, and he kept walking. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. And then we keep talking about basketball, and then you bring up the name Magic Johnson. And I'm like, you know what's crazy? I met Magic Johnson once. I'm walking down the street. I said, hey, Magic, staying alive, brother. And he gave me a fist bump, and he kept walking.
I got it.
You would start to go, boy, that's an awful lot like the first story.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to wonder. The first one didn't sound that believable. Now I wonder if either of them are true.
And to end the sentence with, I hate when radio people lie.
that was great. I made sure to keep that in. That was my favorite part. But yeah, Opie's an interesting guy because, like, if we had an example of like Norton or Anthony doing that, I guess I don't know this, but if we had some example of them doing that, which seems unlikely, they would probably go, oh, Jesus. Oh, am I a fucking idiot? Yeah, that was Corolla. I can't believe I did. Oh my God, I'm getting old, whatever. Like, they would acknowledge that that's a wild coincidence. Mm-hmm. I implore you folks, bring this up in Opie's chat. Don't do it nasty, because he's not going to respond to that. Politely bring up that he told the exact same story about Kimmel and Corolla. Oh, you're one of these guys? Oh, you're doing this? You're doing this thing? I'm not lying about Jimmy Kimmel, all right? And it's like, well, why are you angry about it then?
I think the best way to go about it is chat at him that, hey, tell us that story about how you met Louis Anderson with your agent. Just pick a new comedian every time.
No, but don't even do that, because this is clearly locked and loaded on these two guys.
Okay, yeah.
He thinks this is ask him about the Corolla incident and see how he responds.
Ooh, every day. See if we get a new one each day.
Yeah. See what he says about meeting Adam Carolla, and then once he's answered that, see what he says about meeting Jimmy Kimmel. That's got to be a wild show. Yes, that's what I mean. Like, if he has to answer those back to back, he'll surely realize that he's conflated the stories, right?
He's like, that sounds familiar.
I need an answer. I need to know if he's just lying, if he's crazy. Like, that's nuts.
Go to blindmike.net for everything Blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.